Yo, what up, yo? You already know it's BX Juice. I'm not a blood or a crip or none of that shit. I pop off regardless. I'm a Bronx kid. You're welcome to Regular Real Shit Music TV. I'm your host, BX Juice. Yo, what up, y'all? Yo, today I'm gonna talk about living in your car. You know what I'm saying? And staying in your car, man. Um, First off, I want to say, yo, I'm the type of person, you know what I'm saying? Living with people, mainly living with my family first, because that's where you learn all that stuff at first, really, is your family. Mainly living with my family and my moms and my sisters. Mainly that, from them, taught me that I didn't want to live with nobody. You know what I'm saying? And I knew I didn't want to stay with nobody, even though I ain't have my own crib or nothing. You know what I'm saying? I didn't even begin to know how to even do that. All I knew was that living with them after a while, I just didn't want to live with nobody. Um, like I said, going through stuff like staying in people's house, especially your family, you know what I'm saying? Because they expect you to do everything, you know what I'm saying? Um, they expect you to do everything. Um, Clean their house, you know what I'm saying? Uh, do laundry, help them do laundry, help them go food shopping, all kind of shit. You know what I'm saying? Your family expects you to do all that shit. Um, and yeah, they have you there, you know what I'm saying? Whatever you eating and stuff like that. Okay, I get it. Um, but you there because you thinking you on some little brother type shit, whatever the case may be. You know what I'm saying? Or son type shit. You know what I'm saying? You're not looking at it like that, like they're looking at it. So, but you doing all this and doing all of that, for them while you staying there. People don't appreciate that stuff. People have you doing that, plus treating you any kind of way because just because you staying inside their house, people will do that to you. Just because you living in their house. And that I never liked. You know what I'm saying? I started to dislike that type of shit. I ain't give a fuck about living in nobody's house. Once I started going through that with my sisters and my family and my people, then I was like, hold up. You know what I'm saying? That I didn't like. Um, and that right there made me say, man, fuck all that, man. I don't want to live with nobody. You know what I'm saying? Because if I knew if my mother and my sisters and them could do that shit to me and put me through all of that, then I know other people definitely gonna put me through that. So that was one situation with that stuff. And then, like I said, once you started getting a little older, I started dealing with women and shit like that. And once you start bagging women with their own apartments and shit like that, man. And that's where it started for me. Once I started getting those type of women with their own crib and shit like that. Um, then I started seeing that living with them because they want you to come over there. Of course, they act like they don't want you there, but they in the middle or the end they start talking like they ain't want you there. But in all reality, they the one that told you to come over there in the beginning. They wanted you over there because that's how it is when you first meet motherfuckers. They want you over there. They want you to come and hang out with them and chill with them and all that. And then they forget, and then they want you there all the time. And then they forget that shit once as time go on. And I'm saying, if y'all not starting to not work out or whatever, that's when women start talking that crazy shit. Women to put you out straight up. Um, and you be doing the same shit in their house, especially if you're a decent man, you're a clean person. If in anybody's house, if you're a clean person, people gonna take advantage of you because you clean. Because I'm the type of motherfucker I ain't gonna. If I'm staying somewhere, I don't wanna. I'm not gonna walk around filth. And plus, I like to have my girl company and shit like that. This was mainly when I was living with my moms and my sisters and them. I like to have my girl company and shit like that. So, and I don't want to hear y'all mouth. So, I'm a clean up. I'm a clean person anyway. I already do all of that stuff. So I'm gonna do that anyway. And and plus, so I can have my little piece too. So you're doing that, and then people get used to that, and they want you to do that shit all the time. Cause now they barely clean up their own shit. You see what I'm saying? And then when they do clean up their shit, they don't really do nothing. But once they see you clean up and you clean up like I clean up, Now motherfuckers get comfortable and they want you to do that shit all the time. So it's like, soon as you don't do it, they coming at you like you supposed to do it. This is the fucking. This is the. This is the stuff that's not beneficial to you living with somebody and living in their house. This a, they act like that's such a big deal. It is a big deal when you can invite somebody into your house because they have nowhere to stay. But if you inviting them with the goodness of your heart because you want them to have somewhere to stay and you want them to be there, you don't treat nobody any kind of way because they in your household. Especially when they're meeting you halfway and they're doing things and doing the stuff that you don't have to ask to be done of them, whether it's giving you money or whatever it is, and you don't have to ask this person why you giving this person a hard time. That's only because you're doing it, only because it's just your house. That be their main, that be their main thing. Oh, it's my house, it's my house, so they could treat you any kind of way because it's their house. So you know what? I never liked it that, and I grew to hate that type of shit. And I don't like that word, but that type of shit I grew to hate. And the same thing, like I said, the same thing I was seeing with women that you dating, you start dealing with, and them is even worse because a lot of women don't like to fucking clean. Period, my nigga. A lot of them don't like to clean, and some of them do. And when you get it, but when they have a man that does that cleans, yo, they act like they never knew how to clean once you start doing that shit. And then now they look at you like you supposed to do that shit. And then they start doing the same thing too. That shit comes along. It's my house and da 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 da. And it's even worse when you dealing with somebody in a relationship because it's opposite, the woman, man, and woman thing. So that's even worse, especially if you're not working on no shit like that. Um, so yeah, man, it's shit like that made me be like, nah, man, I don't wanna. I'd rather live in my car. You know what I'm saying? And having that type of mentality is what pushed me to do that. And I used to always think about, Uncle Irv and shit like that. Like I said, he used to have when we used to go down south when we was little, we had the van with the bed in it and all that. And I was like, yo, you know what? Yo, I need to get me a van, son. I need to get me a van and I make a bed, have a bed in my shit, man. And that's what I started thinking like that, and that's what I wound up doing. I wound up getting me a 1999 Dodge Caravan. Shit was dope. 99 joint, tinted windows and everything. And they got the two seats in the back, the middle seat and in the back seat. The middle seat I was able to fold down because it's one. I was able to fold it down and it folded into like a bed type thing for those that know what the 1999 Grand Caravan looks like. It was able to fold down in the middle like a bed. So I went to Target, grabbed some pillows, nice soft white pillows and all that. A lot of them. Placed them up on the bed like that, how I had it. And then I just put through a nice clean sheets over that shit. Boom, that shit right there was a bed. Boom. And that's how I did it. Next thing you know, I had my bed, my TV, and my game, had all that shit hooked up in there. I had it on Facebook plenty of times. I threw my shit up there, and I liked it, my shit like that. But that's what prompted me into doing that and having that type of idea because I knew who want to go to shelters. Nobody like going to shelters, especially back then. It was like nobody wanted to go to shelter. It was crowded. You had to be on the floor, all kind of shit. Before it got a little bit better. So nobody really wanted to go to shelters, man. I ain't want to go to no shelter. I never been in a shelter. I was like, damn, man, I ain't want to do it. So that's why I started thinking, and coming out here to Connecticut, man. I came and coming out here meeting somebody. That homegirl was with her for 2 years. It didn't work out. Again, like I said, living with somebody. Girl got, you know what I'm saying? That's her place. Um, didn't work out after 2 years. I wound up, but I had started working and whatever. Next thing you know, I had got me a job. So I didn't want to go back to New York. You know what I'm saying? The next day, I didn't want to go back to New York. I left our house, man. I didn't give a fuck. I left. I didn't want to go back to New York looking for a job. Excuse me. I said either I could look for a job and go back to New York and look for a job, or I could wake up tomorrow and go to work. So I chose to wake up and go to work. That's why I stayed out in Connecticut so long. Um, Plus, well, that's why I stayed out in Connecticut so long at that time. I had a job and I rather have went to work. So I stayed and like I said, I'm not big on going to stay with family. My sister was living out here. I just didn't want to go stay with her. You know what I'm saying? That was the last place I wanted to go. I did not want to go stay with her. So I was like, you know what? I just went my own way. And eventually going my own way meant bumping into certain people out here that I met or whatever. And niggas, I got a room you can stay. All that nonsense. None of that stuff didn't work out. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, it never works out trying to stay with people and stay in their house. Um, Especially strangers. 'Cause family gonna do it to you. Strangers definitely gonna do it to you. So I ended up being in the shelter. You know what I'm saying? Finally, first shelter I went to, I had a bunch of shit. I had to throw away all of that and give away a lot of that because the shelter that I was going in had lockers the size of nothing. You couldn't even put nothing in there but some boxes, socks, maybe two pair of pants or two shirts or something in there, and the rest of your cosmetics if you have it. That's it. So you gotta really throw away all your shit. So I had to throw away a bunch of my shit that I had just to go in there, cause I'd rather went in there than to go live with somebody. Period. I could have went to my sister's house and dealt with all that bullshit. I got tired of dealing with all of that. So I was like, man, I ain't going over there. I just went my own way, and I did that out here in Connecticut, and I ended up in the shelter. Um, I wasn't there for too long, man. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't there for too long. Um, I had bagged some joints, two joints, of course, you know what I'm saying? And, which is now one of them is my baby mother, which is my son Juju's mother. So, I had that time I bagged her, whatever the case may be. And, I didn't have to go. You know how that go. I just didn't have to stay in the shelter. Of course, she wanted me to come over there and hang, chill with her. Oh, you can stay with me. Of course, even though I know how that go, me still doing that and living like that, what I do, I went, got out the shelter, was there for like a week maybe. So now I ain't have to go back there. So now we over here. Now I'm over here, and again back in somebody else's house under their rules and regulations and shit like that. I worked for a little bit, and then even that started getting a little bit hectic. I messed around and had my son, had Juju. So, that then, doing that really kept me out here. And then that's when I started thinking about, getting my own vehicle. Cause I knew like, damn, yo, if I ain't going to nobody's house, if I was just in the fucking street and I ain't go to my sister's house, then come on, man, what I'm saying? I ain't want to live with nobody. So I was like, yo, I need to get me a van, yo. And that's what I started thinking about a van. That's before I had Juju. I was already thinking about a van for myself. Like, damn, I need a van, man. I get a van, I'll be good. You know what I'm saying? I could do the bed thing, da 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 da. So that was already on my mind. That's before I had my son. Then I messed around and had him. And that's when I was like, all right, I really need the van because I don't know what's gonna happen here, da 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 da. Like I said, living in somebody's house, you can get out anytime. They could put you out anytime. Um, and that's what I was going through for a little minute. And you know what I'm saying? Like I said, then I had Juju, so then I knew it was a little bit serious, you know what I'm saying? So I really had to get the van. I got the van, I got the van, then I had to go through a lot of legal stuff out here, you know what I'm saying? Because of not having my van registered and insured and stuff like that, no license and stuff. I had to go through that while being in the street, and this was the only thing that I had, you know what I'm saying? My clothes and everything was with me, and I barely could even have my van on the street because it wasn't registered. So at any given time, they was taking my van, and I had to pay the money to get it back. You know what I'm saying? All the time. You know what I'm saying? And that was often. Um, and and so through that, I started. I had to start, looking for people, and I had to start staying in people's backyards, paying people to stay in their yard, in their driveway. And you know what I'm saying? I would pay them for to hook up gas and to hook up not gas to I pay them to hook up electricity. I run a line through their house, whatever, and so I can get electricity in the van, you know what I'm saying, for my TV, my game and all that. I didn't have to waste my battery, but I had the electricity, plus I had a little light in there and stuff. So I pay people to do that. Plus that way my car, my van would be in property, somebody's property, and now the cops can't take my shit because it's on the street. So I was doing that for a little while out here. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm going through. You know what I'm saying? Um, I did that, with two people, one person, and I had to go from there. Of course, I had to leave from out of there because whatever happened, and I bagged another girl or whatever, and tried to be straight up with this person, and it was really a business deal, really, because like I said, I ain't have nowhere to take my van. I knew any given time my shit could get taken. The cops see that shit on the street with no registration, it's gone. And all my clothes and shit in here is what I have to change my clothes, and this is where I have to sleep at. So that means if my car's going, once 12 o'clock come, I'm tired where I'm gonna sleep at in the park, this, that, and the third. You know what I'm saying? So, or in the train station. Um, that's what happens. So, I was trying to keep my van, man, and so I dealt with Shorty, was paying her whatever to do that. Then eventually it moved into something more because of course she wanted me there. That's how it always go. And you know, when I was supposed to just been paying her for my van to be in her yard. But that's how that happened, and whatever case may be, it happened like that. So now I was in there, whatever. But still, I was like, damn, man, I ain't get rid of my van. I still have my van. And by this time, Juju, his mother, and they already got their own place. They good. They indoors. Of course, I can't be there, whatever. And then we not together no more, whatever the case may be. So they good though. So now it's just me. So now I'm like, all right, fuck it. So things wasn't really working out with Shorty. You know what I'm saying? We stood together for a little while, whatever. And then already I had to part from her, went my own way. By the time I did this though, I got rid of my van. You see what I'm saying? I had got rid of the van because I ain't have Juju and them no more. And I wish I would have kept my shit, tell you the truth. I wish I would have kept my fucking van. But I got rid of the van and wound up getting me a all black Volkswagen Jetta, black on black shit. Shit was dope. And I had my bike at the time too. I just got me a bike, a 150cc. Um, so yeah, man, so I was chilling for a little while. And then, like I said, now I got the Jetta now. The van is gone, but now it's coming to an end with me and Shorty. I really don't really want to fuck with her like that. So I'm like, you know what? Now I'm like, damn, all right, fuck it. She wound up getting another car. I wound up paying her for the Jetta. That's how it became mine. Boom, and then something else. I'm still rocking with her for a little bit, and then something happened to the Jetta where I needed the computer or something like that. The car shut down automatically. I couldn't unlock the door. The beeper, the alarm or some shit. It had to go to the dealer in order and they had to put it on the machine. And I ain't had the money for all that shit, so I had to let that car go. But before I let that car go, I had got me the car that I have now. You know what I'm saying? My Saturn. I had got that shit. And so I let the black joint go, you know what I'm saying? And then me and Shorty was done. So I wound up leaving out of there. I left and I went up there. I was gonna go to New York, but now I got my son and I ain't really spend no time with him. So I went up there, towards that way, called his mom, my baby mom, Joe, what up? This, that, third. I'm about to go to New York. I would love to come spend some time with Juju. I ain't got nowhere to stay, whatever the case. Oh, you can come up here. You know how that goes. It's the same old scenario when you going to live in somebody's house. I don't care who it is. Oh, you could come up here, Julius, you're my baby father, whatever, da, da, da. I, explain to her, okay, if I come up there, we ain't going to be in no relationship or none of that. You know what I'm saying? I'm just coming up there. I don't mind helping or whatever we could do. Plus, I want to spend time with Juju. So that's what I did. No problem. When I went up there, and we was doing that for a little while. I loved it. It was kind of good because Juju, I was able to be with my son, his birthdays, and was able to be with him every morning, every night. Middle get him from school, teach him the things he needed to say, how to wash up, do his homework with him. We played board games, so all that stuff was good. I moved up there with them for a little while. It only lasted for about 6 months. Um, you know, and me and her was never together, so it was not like me and her had a relationship for 6 months. me being there with my son, and and stuff like that. And then I guess she started feeling the way, whatever way she was feeling, and I had to, she wanted to bring somebody in the house or whatever case may be. Fine, you know what? I just packed my stuff and I left. Plus, I was, seeing somebody that had seen in a while. You know, the chocolate Mary Poppins right now. You heard at that time I hadn't seen her in a while because we had left off shaky. I just had gotten in some trouble, so I couldn't see. I didn't see her. We hung out for like maybe 2 or 3 times we hung out. I came picked her up from a job, whatever. But that was at that time. Didn't see her no more. So now that, we came back in contact and I'm up here with my son and stuff, so I ran back into her. So I started, doing what I gotta do. Me and my baby mom is not together, but I am living in the house. I go get Juju from school, this, that, and the third. Like I said again, I'm not living. This is not my house. Go get Juju from school, do the things that I thought I was doing that I needed to do. And and I guess she was feeling a certain type of way because I wasn't giving her the affection that we clearly talked about and said we wasn't going to have for each other. So she felt whatever, and whatever she wanted to do, she wanted to do. So she did, and I wound up leaving and then being with me and Shorty. She had her places where she had to stay. She was staying where she was staying, but I guess it wasn't stable for her there. And now me and her back together talking and stuff like that. And I got the car and shit like that. So, plus I'm working, you know what I mean? I was working though. She was working, making some good money too. She was making good money and I was making all right money. And we just came together. I would just go pick her up and we chill in the car, we talk and listen to music and do all of that stuff. Now I'm still up there, but this is before I left. And then I was chilling with her every day. And like I said, my baby moms, I guess she didn't. She was caught on to that, and she felt like I wasn't there. Whatever she was feeling, clearly that we didn't have those. I didn't have those feelings for her. So whatever the case may be, so that's how I end up getting. Then I took all of my stuff out of there because she wanted to have somebody there. Whatever, fine. Took my stuff out, left. Now I'm back in the street again, but I'm with somebody else this time. We wasn't together yet. We was just seeing each other because we haven't seen each other for like a whole 4 years. I had met her and we was chilling for that 3 times and I had got into something and I didn't see her for another whole 4 years or whatever. So, now me and her back together, we kicking it, we talking and we doing things, we in the car, whatever. She's got somewhere to stay, but it's shaky. And then, from there, we decided, we wanted to be together or whatever. And that's what we did. And then, she left out of there, whatever what happened there. She wound up coming in the car with me. And, we stayed in the car for 6 months to almost 8 months, 7, 8, 9 months we've been in the car. You know what I'm saying? I was driving around for a while, you know what I'm saying? And one day, my car just stopped up here in Bridgeport, a whole block I didn't know nobody on. My car just stopped, man. The engine blew. Good thing where the car stopped at. It was good. It was a good place. The parking spot. Where's the car's there now? You know what I'm saying? I didn't have to worry about no tickets, no towing, car getting towed or nothing. We was in a good spot and everything where the car stopped. And the car stopped there for 2 months, man. I was there. We was there for 2 months. We was staying in the car for about 8 months. But at the end of it, towards the end, that's when the 2 months came. That's when the engine blew. The engine blew. So I had no engine. So I was just sitting down there, and we were just sitting in the car, man, and we was just staying in the car. She stayed by my side, man. Sat slapping the car with me and everything, covers and all that shit. Um, you know, living in your car, I think, it has its downs, of course, because of course, you ain't got a shower and stuff like that. So or when you got to use the bathroom, you got to do what you got to do. But it's ways as long as the car's, your car's moving, you can always go pull up McDonald's. But you can always pull up anywhere to use the bathroom, really. You know what I'm saying? And I guess the hardest part is probably be washing up, especially for a person like me because I didn't have too many people. I don't have people out here. You know what I'm saying? So but finding the YMCA and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? And I could go take a shower every day. You know, my shorty, she had her friend. It's another thing where the car stopped at. You know, she had people, she from out here. So she got peoples out here and she was able to go over there and, you know, use the shower, whatever she wanted to do, whatever she had to do. She was able to do that. I ain't really have that. You know what I'm saying? I don't deal with people. You know, I just dealt with being in the car and that was that. You know what I'm saying? My brother, of course, K-Son, always made sure that I was good. So I was kind of good through my brother. You know what I'm saying? I was good. But I was still in the car, staying in the car, even now. And, you know, and I'd rather be in the car, man, any day than to be dealing with people's attitudes and whatever they want to tell you and whatever they want to put you through just because you're in their house. I'd rather stay in my fucking car. I ain't gotta pay no rent, no none of that stuff. Most I gotta do is keep the car up. Of course, like my engine blew, so I had to have money to get. But before that, as long as you kept the car up and your car's moving and stuff like that, you know you was good. I'd rather been in my fucking car, man, and put up with fucking people's mouth because you in their fucking household and because they think they could talk to you and do anything they want to do to you just because they let you live with them. When you, I don't play that shit. Fuck that. I'd rather stay in my fucking car. And I did. You see what I'm saying? And you know, and I'd rather stay in my car any day than to put up with that. Especially family. I don't even go back to family. Most of them ain't even family anyway. You don't really have no family like that. I know I don't. You know what I mean? So, you know, I'd rather be in my car, man. I'd rather sleep in the car before I put up with people's shit in their house. You know, there's a lot of people sleeping in the street, like literally sleeping in the street, sleeping in train stations, sleeping in parks. Um, I had to sleep in the park before too. I had to sleep in the train station too before I got my car and my bike and all that shit. But I had my bike at one time, and I remember I ain't have nowhere to go, but I did have my bike, so I was able to get on my bike and go wherever I needed to go or whatever. But I ain't have nowhere to go, and I wasn't gonna go to my sister's house or nobody's house, so I just slapped right. I just sat up right there. I broke nights plenty of time in New York anyway. So I just sat up in the park out here and just broke night a couple of times, you know, just not having nowhere to go. So you know, mad time, you know. So that's what I had to do. Um, but I understand that, you know, I understand that the Most High sits us down, and He sits us down for a reason. I get it, you know, because and put us in situations for a reason. Um, because you know what I'm saying? I had nowhere to go. My engine right now, my car's still down there. I don't have no engine. You feel me? But I was able to gain an apartment, you know what I'm saying, by being able, by going to the YMCA all the time to find a place to shower and shit like that. I was able to gain an apartment because the people in there helped me without me even knowing. I thought I was just there to get food stamps and use the shower. Then I found out after being there 3-4 months that help people get apartments. Home girl, she took my case. Yo, man, in 2 months, man, 2 months, man, she got me rapid housing and all that stuff just a little while ago. I just moved in my apartment. I've been in here for a whole week now. Been in my apartment for a week now. You know what I'm saying? We've been in here. Um, I'm very grateful for having my apartment, for was able to get an apartment, and you know, the Most High putting the people in, first of all, sitting me down. You know what I'm saying? And humbling me and sitting me down and making sure and keeping me still. So I was able and giving me the knowledge to get up and go and walk. And, you know, plus I had to start walking around and stuff like that. I'm sitting in the car all the time. But, you know, he let me do that and get up and found the YMCA. And then people was in there. And through all of that stuff, me being still and listening and humbling myself and just stop asking people, I just went ahead and did what I got to do. And now I'm in my apartment. You know what I'm saying? Me and my shorty, we in our apartment. And it is what it is. I'm grateful for it. And, you know, I wouldn't trade it for nothing, but I'll go back in my car in a minute. You know what I'm saying? If I had to, I would never put up with nobody's shit in their house because they want me to, just because it's their house. I wouldn't do that. I'll go back in the street again. I'll stay in my car again before I do that. In my car, I didn't have to worry about nobody bullshit, nobody telling me what the fuck to do, nobody saying I'm eating up anything, nobody fucking taking my money, nobody smoking up my fucking weed, nobody fucking not being grateful with me cleaning up their fucking house and going to the laundry or doing their laundry, doing their shopping, and all that shit that motherfuckers expect you to do, and then try to fucking play you because you in their house. I'd rather sleep in my fucking car, man. Any day. Straight up, yo. Thank you the Most High for giving me the patience and humbling me and letting me see things that I had needed to see and letting me be in the place where I needed to be. And because he has something for me, and this is what he had for me. I'm in my own place now, and I appreciate it, and I'm very grateful. Word up. Forget people shit, man. If you have to stay in the street, stay in the fucking street, man. Just be smart about what you want to do. You know you don't want to be on the ground, and if you ain't gonna go in the shelter, then maybe you should be thinking about getting your own little car, something that you could. That shelter. That's my car kept me out the rain, snow. Yeah, a lot of times it was cold in the winter time, but yo, I have blankets and stuff. But the main thing, I was able to sleep without, but was able to smoke. She right next to me. So, and nobody nonsense you ain't putting up with. So remember that, man. You know what I'm saying? If you have to, fuck that, man. I'd rather stay in the street, man, before I go staying with people that think they could treat me and tell me what to do and treat me any kind of way in their house because I'm staying in their house and it's their house. Nah, fuck that. I fucking leave and say fuck you right in your face and go about my business. I don't care who it is. So y'all already know, yo, it's BX Juice. I'm not a blood or a crip or none of that shit. I pop off regardless. I'm a Bronx kid. Yo, shout out to the Chocolate Mary Poppins. Shout out to my brother K Son. You heard? Y'all already know. Shout out to the whole NYC BX. Y'all already know. Stand up. Shout out to Connecticut. Y'all already know it's BX Juice. Bow.